Good morning, and we're going to talk to you today. Thank you for joining this session. We'll talk about the upskilling for net zero. We've got a panel here of experts who are going to actually try and contribute, plus myself. So we've got he's a president-elect and from Fife Council. We've got Frank Clayton, who's Group Head of Learning for NG Bailey. We've also got Denis from Catapult, and we've got Wyn Prichard, who's Director of Construction Skills and Strategy at the NPTC Group of Colleges. So thank you and welcome to this. Really, we've got a big challenge, from COP26 going through and all about the future platforms. So the key challenge is how can employers prepare the workforce for the green collar era, using additional skills to upskill ourselves into next zero challenge, and what skills we need, how to deliver them. And then this really focuses on two areas. It's green skills, it's looking at STEM and STEM platforms, and getting people to into STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths. It's also getting existing workforce, how we can upskill them and reprofile their trading platforms. So really, it's about that and our thought process around that. And I'm going to bring in first. I'll bring Wyn Prichard in. So Wyn, on from your side of things, why is this subject important, and what needs do we do require, and what competencies do we require to succeed this?
Yeah, I think your point is well made. It's a critical time. I've been around skills for 25 years in different guises. The one positive I can see already is the collaboration is coming between industry, academia, and the trade bodies. And BESA and Actuate are playing a key role in some of the work we are doing. In Wales, there's more a two-pronged approach being formulated. I actually lead on the training skills of the optimised retrofit programme, which has been substantially supported by Welsh Government, and really pleased to say that BESA and Actuate are involved in the training skills group there, and we are looking at the skills solutions currently, which will really bring into focus where the gaps are and what is needed. The real other challenge is the colleges are really good, and my own has been leading the way in a number of innovations in green and energy skills over the last year or so. But what we do need is a cooperation between the manufacturers, the industry and government to make sure those skills are right. The traditional apprenticeship programs still need to be developed in this area, and I think we are looking at more than likely three areas to approach this. The upskilling area of people already in the industry and bringing them up to current standards. The schools and the education and educating them in terms of the new horizons and the new challenges, the new occupations available. And then finally, the apprenticeship program. And if you get those aligned over the next 18 months, I can see real opportunities in the way we are working together in this area.
Thank you for that. I mean, it's positive that there's work's going on there. I mean, would you see a major blocker is funding the major blocker from the Welsh area, or do you think the doors are getting pushed open?
I think the doors are being pushed open. Obviously, you will never say no to more funding, and funding is a driver. But I do think that it is more important that we get the competence levels right of the skills, because I think if we can do that, that should bring in the additional funding and the courage of people to support the mechanisms going forward. We have been engaged with a number of manufacturers who are showing great interest in how collaboration can work. And I think if we can open that challenge and be more collaborative in the way we work, I think funding will be a factor, but won't be as major as has been in the past with other skills regimes.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I'm just going to bring in Denis next. So Denis Richards, so have you got a position on this one going forward?
Yes, I mean, we've got indeed a big challenge. We need probably to double the workforce when we are struggling to get enough people nowadays. And we've got, in addition, a brand new complexity here coming in when the industry currently is pushing technologies such as cladding or heat pump. We need now to take a whole system approach and bring in a lot of innovation, including innovative business models. So there's a big need in terms of training people and upskilling. And a big need also in understanding the customer. So soft skills, I think, will become very important. That's a complex transition for the customers, and they are not necessarily willing to do that easily. So they need a lot of hand-holding, they need a lot of soft skills, and that has to be taught as well. In terms of upskilling, as I said, there is a lot of innovation coming every year, new business models, it as a service, mobility as a service, new technologies, Q-boards for underflow insulation or others. And as a consequence, there will be a need for continuous education. So it's not a one-off upskilling. I think it will be a regular upskilling going forward.
Okay, thank you, Denis. Frank, so from your position in Head of Learning at NG Bailey, are you seeing things that get implemented now? Are you seeing blockers? What's NG Bailey's view of life?
Thanks, Neil. I think it was interesting listening to Wyn. It's almost like we've got the same set of notes. I think he talks about collaboration being key to this, and I think he's absolutely right. I think there are three key players in this. You know, it's about employers, it's about educators, and it's about people in government working together. And I think that the challenges that we face, you know, from a college point of view, it's great as wanting those skills, but that means that somewhere along the line, colleges have to have access to funding to retool themselves ready to train people. I think as employers, we're already on the back foot. You know yourself, an apprenticeship in our sector typically is 3 to 4 years in length, which means we're already behind the curveball. So we need to do things probably quicker than we already are doing, but there's a commercial aspect to that. You know, as a business, you need to be confident that if you're investing in this, the work is going to be there come the other side of it. I think from a government point of view, you know, again, you mentioned, I think in your introduction, EV charging points, and everybody's talking about them. They're clearly a hot topic. That's great. As a business, we're absolutely looking at that. But if the infrastructure in terms of the grid isn't able to support a huge rollout of EV charging points, then actually that's not going to realise the potential commercial value that businesses would be looking for. So there's a certain amount of hesitancy there that we're looking to government for in terms of clarification. And I think, you know, really important point, again, you know, Wyn touched on this earlier, there's still a huge amount of work to be done from a school's perspective in terms of attraction, because, you know, all these other things can land in place. But if people still look on our industry as being a place you go to get a job as opposed to somewhere you go to build a career, then we're always going to be firefighting and kind of on the back foot in terms of having enough skilled people in the areas that we need them.
Yeah, it's probably a key theme that even George Clark touched on this morning, the keynote speaker, is skill shortage. And the numerous now over the last 12 months of publications from different groups, one being the Aldersgate group, where they're saying that we have to engage with the backgrounds, you know, the BME background, women in construction, and get them through into STEM, get them into construction. And we have to tap in at an early stage in that development process at the school level to basically, you know, signpost and put career pathways through. When we've been many forums, Frank, where we've talked about people of today, 18, will be, you know, living till hundreds, and they'll probably have 5 career changes in their lives. We need to make something really attractive that is the career progression, and we accept as employers that people will want to change their career profile. But as I see it, as we are not yet signposting the attractiveness of our sector, our industry, and therefore we're not getting the right level of intelligence, clients, you know, or customers coming through and promoting that. Yeah, it's a big issue, and I know it's that is a key blocker to the skill shortage. So I'm just going to jump over to Rob, because Rob, I know, conscious you're with Fife Council, and, you know, obviously you're a public employer. So is there any key themes or initiatives that are happening from a Fife Council point of view that are you on the curve, are you behind the curve, or are you actually ahead of the curve?
Good morning, thank you, Neil. I would say we're probably slightly behind the curve. We implemented a lot of new build technology many years ago, but we've not had the upskill training for the staff that we've got at the moment. So again, for us, I think we've got it's almost a double-edged sword, where we've got to train the apprentices in new techniques and moving forward. We've also got to upskill the current workforce. Retaining that workforce is extremely difficult as well. And we've also to upskill tenants, because we're employers, but we're also landlords. So we're installing all this new technology and kit into council houses or public buildings, and we're not upskilling the people, the end user, if you like, which then generates more work for our guys that need to then go out and do the sort of rectification work. So yeah, I would say we're slightly behind the curve, Neil.
And do you feel there's anything coming from central government to support any programs, Brab, or are you left locally to meet your own plans and profiles?
At the moment, it's kind of locally. It sits within our department, to be fair. That sits with our property services department, who do the design. I'm the installation side. I'm the builder side, if you like. So we get to hear about it kind of when it's ready to hit the ground and start building. But for what I've heard previously, there doesn't appear to be much at the moment that's ready to go. There's a lot of talk about it, but as for things starting to happen, I think we're slightly behind.
Okay, thank you for that, Rob. I'll come back to you in a bit. So I know Rob Grant couldn't make it today, but in terms of he had a key theme that he wanted to get across, which we'll quite discuss. Is that is there a concern from all of us that there's going to be an issue with crossover skills and impacts on new entrants in the industry? Given seems to be a lot of talk regarding upskill, cross-skilling of existing workforce. So will we make new entrants their journey longer, or bespoke programs built for their needs? So it's probably three questions in one there. We know we've got to do something here and now. We need to upskill our workforce. We think it's detrimental to attracting new talent into industry, right? As I say, being a bit not cohesive, not enough, not a platform, and reinventing the apprenticeship program. So I'll go back to you first, Frank. Would you think that might be a blocker to us?
I think it has the potential to be, and I guess, Neil, I think back to some of the conversations you and I have had in the past, where you look at certain apprenticeships that we are very familiar with, and think, we are bringing new apprentices into our organisation to work on jobs that, in theory, we don't expect to be winning because technology will change. And I think, Denis made a great point earlier about, technology is moving. Our clients are expecting us to be coming to them with more innovative and smart solutions. And from a commercial point of view, that's absolutely how you win work. But from a college perspective, colleges make their money by having sort of bums on seats, if you'll pardon the phrase. And I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there in terms of how we create a sort of a leading edge rather than a lagging edge, and have the right skills, because in the absence of that, you're always kind of running to catch up, really. And I think, Rab's point earlier about being slightly behind the curve, I think it certainly feels within a business like that's the case, that we're always almost running just to keep as close to that edge as we can. It certainly doesn't feel like we're in front of it.
Okay, thank you, Frank. I just think if you look at the last couple of days of backdrop with, say, the G20 and going to this COP26 and all the noise right now, it's all about housing stock. It's all about, regeneration. George Clark mentioned himself, and we've been for a year of a pandemic, or 18 months, and the statistics show there, whether you believe it or not, that the residential energy use increased by 23%, which is not surprised with a lot more people working from home. You've got all this housing stock that's going to be so inefficient. So there's a clear demand there. We have to do something different than a step change. And I know, like I said a minute ago, about heat pumps being the hot topic at the moment. But in terms of really, I can see us as an industry being distorted for the next couple of years. Just talk about housing restock, and is that going to be a detriment to large commercial buildings? And do we see that being an influencer? So really, it's probably, I'm going to ask that question initially to Rab. So Rab, do you think that, you do a lot of housing debate and question and focus from government will distort other interests where we could probably be better service at the moment in time?
Neil, could you repeat that, please? You froze on my screen there very briefly. Couldn't you repeat that question, could you, please?
Oh, worst time to freeze, eh? So no, what I'm saying, Rab, is there's going to be a lot of focus on the next 2 retrofitting housing stock, and the challenge in itself, you can't mandate that, and probably it's looking at new stock first and where we can retrofit. But I can see a lot of government policy, a lot of government discussions about, talk about housing, and it's tackle houses first, where in reality we've probably got bigger issues in the design of new products, into the new facilities, into the public spend of where it can be prisons or health, or where it's going to be education or leisure, where we could influence it now in our design solutions? And do you feel that resources might be distracted into housing rather than elsewhere for industry?
That's a difficult question. It's a difficult one to answer, to be honest. For a local authority background, we're under constant pressure to spread money across the entire council threshold, if you like. So what I call topic of the week, at the moment, as you're well aware with the pandemic, it's going to be ventilation. So I'm going to assume that a vast amount of the council budget is going to go into public buildings. I think we've got around about just over 800 public buildings that is going to soak up so much of the council budget. We sit currently with around about 32,000 council houses, and we've been retrofitting for a number of years now with heating and insulation, and I'll be honest, I don't even think we've scratched the surface. So again, going back to what we spoke about earlier about being slightly behind the curve, we're almost running to try and catch up with the walking pace to continue with those works, to get us up to a level where we could start retrofitting further with new technologies. We're also new building, where we're installing all the new technology into the new build stuff, which gives us a further headache of going back to the training and upskilling of your staff and your contractors and what have you. So again, we're always running to try and catch up with the walk, as we spoke earlier. So it's extremely difficult, but I think we're making headway now, to be honest.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So Wyn, I'll come back to you. So from a college's point of view, are you being approached by? I see you say you're doing some collaboration with management. Are they actually being specific, or just generalised conversations right now regarding the future technologies, the future influences, short courses, long courses? How's that being wider context being discussed, Wyn?
Yeah, it's been quite specific, to be totally honest, and it's down to obviously the West Government putting a lot of money in the Trailblazer project, the optimised retrofit. So there's a synergy with that, and an enthusiasm of people wanting to engage and provide solutions. I think the other, and I'll come a little bit on your other part, infrastructure is going to be quite critical as well. And I think one of the key parts here would be procurement and how they procure and what is laid out in that procurement guidance. We had an announcement yesterday from our Minister of Education that all school build in Wales from September 2022 will have to be low carbon and zero carbon. So I think there is ways that influences can come in place, but then it comes back to the whole point of we have to have the right apprenticeship programs and training programs to deliver the competence. And I think the only way that can be done is by specific examples.
Okay, thank you. That Denis, from your seat, is any specific forums being discussed or debated, or it's all generalised from your side?
A bit of both. In terms of debate, I mean, everything is happening at all levels at very high pace currently. So I can see a lot of things happening at different levels, which is very good and going the right way very often, but it's still very fragmented, and it's still, in my mind, not enough, with still some big gaps around the customer perspective and around the system approach. Now, to go back to an earlier point and a note of optimism, I think the innovation and the new technologies and the new business models are also positive in the sense that they can attract new candidates to these jobs. And I think we should play that a lot more. So the green aspect should attract the new generations, but the fact that we are moving towards a digital world with a lot of digital tools to evaluate performance, to assess the new steps to be put in place, the new business models, the fact that we need to talk to customers in a different way, all that should attract, I think, new generations of candidates. And that's very positive.
Frank, let's change subject slightly. It's still about upskilling, but in terms of, if we go from where George Clark was coming from, and some we change apprenticeship standards takes a long time, and it's going to take several years for them individuals to come through into industry, and a lot of short courses are now on demand, and say it's more about refrigeration-based systems at the moment that we're seeing. So, do we therefore have to look at modern methods of construction? Do we need to really think about prefabrication as the answer to our in houses, but actually in all kinds of forms of construction and development. And have you seen anything like that from NG Bailey? I'm seeing it from where I sit. It's still being talked about. Overall industry skill shortage, modern methods of construction are really driving that. So I think that on the back of the green agenda, we're quicker. What's your view?
Yeah, I'd agree, actually, Neil. I think I was with the general manager of our offsite business only a few weeks ago, working on some development plans. And I think it's fair to say that from our perspective, and again, for those that don't know NG Bailey overly well, we are much more sort of commercial in our approach. We don't do domestic stock. The requirement for us to think about modern methods of construction, and particularly modular solutions, is probably more popular now than ever before. And you're right, in terms of then the skills aspect, in some respects, it's actually a quicker process because that modularization is about helping people understand the specific role they play in, for want of a better description, almost a production line process of developing a solution. And I think, the point that Denis made earlier, our clients are driving a lot of that. So, we're working on a number of large contracts and projects across the country where the client is saying to us, what's your solution in terms of this from a modern perspective? Because, and I suppose, to Wyn's point about the schools, our clients are saying to us, we do not want you traipsing vans and trucks and all kinds of different levels of supply chain in and out of here. We want the site to be, efficiently run and very mindful of its impact from a sustainability point of view. And how are you going to minimize your impact on the site, but still deliver the product that we want, whether that's an office space, whether that's a hospital or a prison, or whether it's something to do with some form of national infrastructure. So I think the clients are driving that, and I think absolutely that modularization is somewhere that there are some real quick wins, and also again back to that attraction point, will allow us to showcase the industry as being something that is actually quite innovative in the way that it goes about doing what it does. That I do think we probably should spend a little bit more time shouting about and being quite blasé about how good we are at this kind of stuff, because I think sometimes that's our problem. We don't perhaps show off quite as much as we should do.
Okay, thank you. So just quickly to Rob. So from a council point of view, Rob, modern methods of construction, modular building, is that too far away from Fife at the moment? Is it not there? The budget restraints, the drivers. What's Fife for you on modular method of construction?
At the moment, predominantly we are predominantly retrofit. We have got one of the largest house building councils in Britain. I think we've built more houses in Fife than every council in England put together in the last 2 years. It's still a standard build for us. However, we just completed a modular build at one of our high schools that was vandalised by fire a couple of years ago, and that worked out very, very well. It was quite a quick turnaround for us as well. So we've kind of got our finger in a lot of pies, if you like, but on the whole, we are still traditional. Is it something we need to look at? Potentially. I dare say the architects are, but at the moment, certainly for the construction guys, we're still the traditional plumber joiner type builder works.
So thank you, Rob. So Wyn, I'm going to come back to you. We've had a question come in, which is basically says traditionally an apprenticeship was 5 years, then there was the 1 year modern apprenticeship. We get companies to bring back worthwhile apprenticeships which are attractive to school leavers. You've got a view, Wyn?
I think where we lost apprenticeships, and there's a good question that's been raised, I think at some stage we lost the employer engagement and it became very much a model that colleges train people to what they thought was specific. So a lot of the on-site experience disappeared. And I do think that there is a way of reviewing the apprenticeship program and whether it is fit for common purpose now where we are. It needs to change. But I come back to this whole thing, and it is a mantra we have in our college, and I know others on this call will have the same view, is it's got to be collaboration. You have to work with the industry, the student, and the college teaching the aspects, and the program then will build competence in that.
Okay, thank you, Wyn. Frank, have you any view of that in terms of how we attract more school leavers at all?
I'd agree with Wyn in his comments. I think it's absolutely about a collaborative effort. I know certainly the relationships we have with the colleges that we partner with, that's the key word. It's a partnership. Our view is that our job is to help the individuals on our apprenticeship program thrive throughout the program and to help them become, NG Bailey people. And I think, the risk of blowing our own trumpet, I was talking to somebody earlier about our post-program retention rates. We have an 85+% retention rate of apprentices 5 years after they've graduated from the program. But that comes from a whole heck of a lot of hard work, whether it's with the apprenticeship team here in the business, our college partners, and our operational people that kind of go hand in hand to make the apprenticeship program here a great experience. But again, Wyn's absolutely right. It's a group effort, and without that, there's always going to be a missing component. And employers, should recognise that investment, but also recognise the value that it brings.
Yes, as I was thinking as we're coming towards the end of the session, it's very clear that we've got a piece to do regarding higher education and STEM and promoting that sector of the industry and that pathway into construction. And we've got a piece of there of probably short course upskilling of the current workforce. And I think the natural apprenticeships will carry through and we'll supplement that. So, the BESA Academy with a heat pump short course is a classic example where we bolt on skills going forward. But generally we have to focus on, obviously, STEM and a true green collar. There's not a magical answer. We're all discussing it. There's got to be the right funding. There's got to be the right collaboration with the right areas, the right employers, the right manufacturers, and then we've got to be led by government. And whether it's locally or nationally, there'll be agendas. And I'm saying I don't want housing to be the here and now and the only thing in town. But it'll be the short term. It'll be the quick win. But that will enable us to upskill a good portion of the workforce. That takes us into the next developments going forward into the larger scale projects. I've nothing more to add. We're virtually out. Has anyone got any final comments before we close the session? That's all.
I've got one comment to make about the career side, and it's touching on a lot of comments I made, and I think Denis made the point. We are entering a new era in terms of the old construction sector, in my opinion, is on the decline in terms of a brand. We are into a new technology build centre, which does open up vast opportunities for people who felt construction wasn't for them. And I think that is something that BESA and the industry should be taking forward, especially working with the young people and the new skills that we will need in the industry.
No, great. Very good comments, Wyn. Thank you for that. Okay, well, we're run out of time, but it's been a good discussion. We haven't come with a magical thread or the golden thread, as they say. But we all know we're on a similar page from different backgrounds, so we have to do a collaboration approach and take the industry forward. So I thank you for your time. Thank you for your contributions, and I wish you well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. Bye, folks.